In today's lesson, we will learn about one of the most important techniques of photography, composition. What is composition? Composition is the way the elements of a photograph are arranged. We need to become familiar about the rules of composition and use them creatively and artistically to create our photographs. We have with us today Mr. Sarvanan Janakarajan, who is a wildlife photographer, and he is going to walk us through the various rules of composition through examples of his own work.
Hello, today's session is on composition, and we will be discussing composition on with respect to photography on various aspects of composition, and we'll try to understand what are the rules of composition, when to use those rules and how to break them also sometimes. And we will then also do some sessions on where we use composition in camera itself, where we have to do composition post-processing. So let's start with what is composition. Composition is simply put as how the elements of a photo are arranged. A good photo will take many different parts and combine them into an aesthetically pleasing whole. Now, which basically means that there will be a lot of elements in photo. There will be a subject, there will be a background, there will be a foreground, there will be a primary subject, there will be a secondary subject. So how do you use all of them in a very proper manner, put together in a pleasing form and deliver a good picture? And this is possible using composition. There are two types of picture formats which are popularly used. The horizontal or the landscape mode, which basically means the width is more than the length. The vertical or the portrait mode, the length is more than the width. Earlier, when everything was in form of a book, the portrait mode was more widely used. Now, which most of the pictures we see are the digital form, so the horizontal or the landscape mode is more prevalent. But both modes have their own uses, and these are the two principal modes which we use in all the pictures which we see. So why is composition important? For example, if you look at this picture, now you look at the subject and the empty space, you look at this picture, you look at the subject and the empty space. Which one do you like? Do you like the first one or the second one? A majority of them will say that the second one is more appealing. Why is it so? It is so because the elements in the second picture combine better to provide an appealing picture. What are the elements we are looking at? We are looking at the subject, the empty space, and also the direction in which the subject is leaning or looking towards. So if all of them combine together, then you get a very good picture where, for example, in this picture, the subject is looking in a particular direction, the empty space is in that direction, and thereby the picture looks much more appealing than the previous one.
Now, Mr. Puchi Venkat will help us to understand the importance of composition and will explain to us how we can use a variety of elements and techniques for composing different photographs.
Okay, composition according to me is where it all begins and where it all ends. A picture is made or completely broken for want of composition. So in the old days, coming from the artists, you had the famous rule of thirds, in which you are supposed to be dividing the entire canvas into 3, 3 and 3, meaning 9 sections, and wherever the intersecting lines are there, you put the subject of interest right there. This actually originated from the artists who were the first photographers, because they needed to take portraits, and that is exactly how the whole thing started. So they brought along with them to photography the rules of composition that actually told you exactly how to compose a picture with the various elements put in place. Now, the main thing here is rules are made and rules are broken, and you have various ways of making the rules and breaking the rules. So sometimes it is not really necessary to stick to one particular method of composition, but using the available rules of composition helps you understand exactly where the important part comes, where the not so important part goes, and that is exactly how you decide how to fix the location of the most important part of the subject. So if you are having a child with a flower in the hand, will you give importance to the child or will you give importance to the flower? And the classic case of you have a hill range at the back and two people standing in front, where are you going to put the hill and where are you going to put the people? And are you going to put two people on either side of Taj Mahal, or is Taj Mahal going to be in one side and two people are going to be on this side? So this is how you decide the composition. The other factor is, if a person is looking to one side of the picture, are you going to be putting more space on this side or are you going to be putting more space at the back? Some photographers have what is called the negative space approach, where they say that there should be a lot of space behind the person because that is where he came from. Other photographers will say, put a lot of space in front because where is the subject moving towards. So these are all various ways in which you can actually do the composition. And interestingly, with today's digital available to you, not only the form of cameras but also your software and also all your devices, you can shoot the same picture in various formats. You can shoot the same picture in various ways in which you can actually experiment with the negative space, with the positive space. You can even try the 1/3 rule. You can even try something like the Fibonacci series, where it's a series of decreasing spirals. You can actually put a spiral staircase right there. So you have a lot of options in trying out your composition. And the best part is the same picture can be composed in 100 different ways, which you may not have been able to do in the analog days. So this gives you a very good idea of how composition starts off with a single subject, with multiple subjects, subjects in the foreground, subjects in the background, and then how do you mix and match, which is the brighter subject, which is the darker subject, which is the more prominent one, which is in focus, which is out of focus. This is where in earlier classes we were talking about depth of field, where you can also use that for the composition. Then you divide the entire frame into 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, then you have the rule of thirds, then you have the half rule, where you can divide the picture into exactly 3 and exactly 2, and you have the upper half and the lower half. So all these go to tell you exactly how the picture should be composed. And the interesting part here is you can actually take the same image, turn it upside down, bring it on this side, make a vertical, and also try the same composition all over again. And like I said, to recap, digital gives you the option to try out various compositions in the same picture. And you are not going to be stopping with just one picture. You can take the same image, shoot it from different angles, combine all of them, and then make an interesting composition with not just one picture but with multiple pictures. So I am sure that with this information you would all be going out there and trying your hand immediately on various compositions.
In this video, we have spoken about composition and the importance of composition in photography. We have learnt about the concept of negative space and the direction in which the subject is looking at to create appealing photographs. In the following videos, we will go deeper and understand the various rules of composition and how to use them to make better photographs.